Hey everyone. Hello there. Happy Tuesday. How's everyone doing today? Hope you all are having a great day. I am so excited for this week for a few different reasons. So, the first reason I'm excited for this week is because it's my birthday and I love my birthday. I get very excited about it. So, it's on Thursday. It's not today, it's on Thursday, but I'm super, super pumped. I love being a September baby. I am definitely a Virgo. I had an awesome weekend with my family, and I'm just very excited for this week. The other reason I'm excited for this week is because my business mentor, Amy Porterfield, is opening the doors to her incredible program, Digital Course Academy, this week. Starting tomorrow, this is a big deal. I took Digital Course Academy a little bit over a year and a half ago. Oh my gosh, almost 2 years ago now. And it drastically changed my business. So I'm super pumped that she's opening it up for all of you. But before we get there, I've got some fun stuff anyway. So she is actually hosting, I think, several times this week. She is hosting live masterclasses all about getting started in the online course business. Now, you can actually, hold on. Let me make sure we got the right link because I don't know that we do have the right link there. Yeah, no, not the right link yet. Hold on. We're going to change our links. Look at us. We're jumping ahead. There we go. That's the link we want. If you want to join the masterclass, you are going to go to megkwheeler.com/launch. I can't /launch. That's a lot of S's. And you can save your spot in one of those live masterclasses. Again, doors open tomorrow. Some of you may have just seen the link down there. That will be the link tomorrow. Doors are open tomorrow for Digital Course Academy, and you can go ahead and jump in through that link. If you join Digital Course Academy through that link that you saw on the screen and which you'll see tomorrow, you will also get access to my incredible bonus package, which includes my online course, Biz Money Blueprint. It includes 3 months membership in my membership program, the Badass Action Takers. It includes 60 days of unlimited access to me on Voxer, which is a voice messaging tool so that I can give you lots of coaching and guidance, plus some other really cool bonuses. So if you are going to join Digital Course Academy, definitely check it out through my link tomorrow, not today, tomorrow. But in the meantime, go ahead and go to that masterclass, megkwheeler.com/launch. You're going to love it. I promise you, it's going to be a great use of your time. But today, hold on, I want to put this down a little bit. There we go. Today, I've got something super fun for you. Today, we are actually going to talk about the money behind online courses. So I get asked this question a lot. Are online courses really worth it? Do you really make money in online courses? And I love this question because I'm all about the money, right? I'm the money girl. I'm the numbers girl. So I love this question for that reason, but I also love it because I think there's this misconception about online courses, and it goes one of two ways. Sometimes the misconception is that you will make a gazillion, bazillion dollars if you do an online course. And so everybody's going to make that money and you should definitely do it. Other times, the misconception is that the online course industry is totally full and you're not going to make any money. And why would anyone buy your online course? So that's why I love this conversation, because neither of those is the real story, right? The real story is somewhere in the middle. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So bear with me 1 second here while I get everything set up, because we've got some really, really fun stuff. And for those of you joining me live, if you've got questions, go ahead and throw them in the comments. We've got some really fun stuff today, and I just want to get all this up there, so bear with me. Oh, the technology. Always, always, always so much fun. I'm going to actually share with you all 5 stories today. So these are 5 stories of people who have created online course businesses. They also are people who have gone through Digital Course Academy, so they're going to be sharing a bit of their experience with Digital Course Academy there as well. But even more so than just Digital Course Academy, they're really going to be sharing their stories of what it was like for them to create online courses. Now, I'm also happy to share my story as well, and I've done this before. But I started my online course business last May, and I basically took Digital Course Academy. I launched my online course. The first time I launched it live, my Facebook ads account was completely disabled. I had no ability to run Facebook ads, and that had been a part of my ad strategy. So I ended up welcoming in, I think it was about, oh gosh, did I write down the numbers? I think it was about 15 people. You know what I did? Hold on. Where did I put it? Where am I? Yeah, here we go. So this was my very first course launch. I did $3,100 in sales. So not a huge amount of money, but for my first time with no Facebook ads, that was really freaking good. I was pretty excited. And again, I think that was about 15 students, if I'm not mistaken. And I had about $150 in expenses. I basically paid for Kajabi to host my online course. And that was about it because I ended up not doing any Facebook ads, right? So $3,000 in profit straight off the bat. That made me pretty happy. That was my first course launch. My second course launch was in October of last year. And I increased my numbers. I brought more students on. And so, it's really been very successful for me. And then in January of 2020, I went ahead and put my course on, February, by the time we got around to it, went ahead and put my course on Evergreen, meaning it's always available. So I wasn't live launching anymore. And now I've welcomed in over 100 students into my course. So it's really been an incredible journey for me. And I can tell you, absolutely, you can make money with online courses. But big message here, it takes time to build a successful online course business. That does not mean that you won't see success the first time you launch your online course. It means that you need to recognize that everything successful online course creators do is they're doing over time. They're laying the groundwork, and it builds and builds and builds and builds and builds until it becomes truly kind of this big machine, right? That's just cranking out consistent revenue for you, consistent sales. But at the beginning, it can sometimes feel like you're failing. If you launch your course and one person buys or two people buy or no one buys the first time, that can be really soul crushing. And it does not mean that you are a failure at online courses. It does not mean your online course failed. It does not mean that you will never have a successful online course business. It just means, and I say this whether this is your first launch or your 10th launch or whatever, it just means you need to take the data that you've collected and the information you've collected from that course launch and use it to make the next one even better. You take it and tweak it and then do it again, right? Rinse and repeat. So, or really, I would say evaluate, pivot, evaluate, tweak, rinse, repeat. That kind of makes sense, right? I don't know. So anyway, it does take time to build a successful online course business. But I do want to share these 5 stories with you today because each of these 5 people, I think, really found their own version of success creating an online course. And I've personally found them very inspirational, and I think you will too. So let's go ahead. If I can get my tech working, let me go ahead and figure out how to get this up here. Oh my gosh, am I going to be able to do this right? Yes. Okay, cool. Cool beans. We are going to go to, hold on. A lot of pressure when it's tech. Yes. Okay, it works. Show me the money. That's what we're going to talk about here today. So yes. Okay, perfect. Our first story that I want to tell you about is a woman named Ava. Now, Ava is a spiritual mastery coach. So she actually worked for quite a bit in the digital marketing field. So 6 years ago, she decided to start her own business as a consultant. It was great. She says, I made the kind of money I wanted and I had a lot more free time. And so these are now Ava's words I want to read to you. So Ava said, with that extra free time, I started to feel into what I really wanted for my life. I did a lot of inner work, releasing unconscious beliefs and old patterns that had held me back. I think we all should probably do that. And Ava says, I loved it so much that I started helping others with their own personal development, teaching the work that had helped me. One day, I just knew it was time to shift from my digital marketing business into teaching inner work, but I didn't have any kind of platform or audience for that. How many of us can relate to that, right? Not having a platform or an audience. I didn't when I started my online course. So back to Ava. Ava says, thankfully, I stumbled across Amy Porterfield. I somehow saw a promotion of her webinar and registered. When she asked on the webinar, do you want to launch a course? I thought, yes, I do. I was really impressed by her professionalism, and I knew right then that I wanted to sign up for Digital Course Academy. Kind of how I felt the same way too. So I like that Ava says that. So Ava says the only issue was money was tight. I had just put my own business aside to work on my partner's website for 3 months. So instead of asking for payment, I asked him if he would invest in Digital Course Academy for the both of us. It was a win-win because he runs courses too, so he easily said yes. As I started working through DCA, I set up a completely new website and lead magnet for myself and started creating weekly content. I want to pause here 1 second. Ava said something really important. She started creating weekly content. This is a key piece of any online business, whether you have a course or not. Talk about weekly content a lot. So if you're not currently doing consistent weekly content, it's something I want you to consider. Okay. All right. Back to Ava. So Ava says, thankfully, my partner already had an audience. His list had 30,000 people on it. Okay, we would kill for 30,000 people, wouldn't we? So I was able to market to them. She says, I wanted to complement what he was doing on his website and build something for people who had already done his self-mastery course. So I decided to create a meditation course called Beyond the Mind to help his graduates overcome resistance and create what they want to in their lives. She says, I created a blog post for my partner's website. I shared how meditation could help the self-mastery work they were already doing. And then I linked it to my lead magnet. And there's another keyword there, lead magnet. If you are running an online course business and you are trying to grow your audience and you don't have a lead magnet, otherwise known as a freebie, this is definitely something you should consider as well. So back to Ava, she says, I got some good traction on my lead magnet. Then he did a podcast interview with me and I got even more engagement. I could tell people were interested in paying attention. Okay, third thing I want you to pay attention to. She talks about a podcast interview she did, right? Getting yourself out there and talking about what you do and telling people where they can find your lead magnet is huge, all right? So what Ava says, when I launched, I did 4 webinars and they were all cross-promoted to his list. My goal was to get 500 webinar signups and 50 people purchasing my course. I blew it out of the water, 605 webinar signups and 90 purchases for my course. I had $22,000 in sales. It was so cool. One of the most helpful things for me about Digital Course Academy is that it helped me get out of my head and just sit down and do the work. Amy lays out every step and I just followed along. Having that support got me to a finished product so much faster. So I'm going to leave it there. Ava goes on to say a little bit more, but I want to leave it there because we're really here to talk about the money, right? So Ava, in her first launch, made $22,000. She had 605 people sign up for her webinar, ended up selling 90 purchases. That's a pretty good that's a really good conversion rate. So when we're talking about selling online courses, we're always wanting to think about how many people can we get on our webinar if that's the method we choose to use to sell our course? How many people actually show up? Because just because they sign up doesn't mean they're going to show up. And then how many people ultimately buy? Those are our conversions. And you're more likely to get a conversion when someone shows up live, although you can still get conversions even if they don't. And so Ava really focused on the numbers there. But so, there we go. Nope, hold on. I've already broken the tech. I've broken the tech. There we go. Okay. So again, Ava says, I'm so grateful that Amy laid it out step by step. This is what I love about Amy Porterfield as well. It was so easy and I made $22,000 in my first launch. So first thing, when we're talking about show me the money, yeah, you can absolutely make that kind of money with your launch. Now, some of you might have been paying close attention and said, well, yeah, but she used her partner's list. He had 30,000 people. Of course, she got that many people. That's certainly a benefit. But let me just tell you, and we're going to go through 4 more stories. I've seen plenty of people who've done this without that kind of benefit. And pay attention to the things she talked about doing. She talked about creating consistent weekly content. She talked about having a lead magnet that people were really into. She talked about getting on a podcast and being interviewed. All of that stuff is really what you do that drives those numbers. So you don't need a huge list. You just need to be doing things like that. And you can absolutely do that. And you should especially be doing that at the very beginning when you don't have a big list. Okay. All right. So the next person I want to tell you about is someone named Claire. Let's see if I can get Claire's story up here. So Claire is kind of an interior designer and blogger. So Claire started her interior design blog on the side 6 years ago because she was unhappy at her job and really questioned if she could do something different. So 6 months into it, she unexpectedly started getting requests for her consultations. And I love this. She says, she turns to her husband and goes, do I do consultations? And he goes, yeah, you do. So she ended up taking on these consultations and used them to replace her corporate salary. But they also required full-time hands-on hours to keep the money coming in, right? Many of us have this problem where when we take on clients, it's great, money's coming in, but it's a lot of time. So Claire says that's where Amy and Digital Course Academy really came into play for her. So in 2.5 weeks, she went from having nothing, no course, no product, nothing, to welcoming 122 members into her course, generating over 42,000 Australian dollars. $42,000! How crazy is that, right? And she says this all happened while one of her kids was in intensive care. Thankfully, he's out, he's fine, he's good, okay? So she said, so Claire goes on to say, all it took was looking at what people have been asking me for more info on, in her case, a 3D software called SketchUp, and a post on Instagram saying, DM me if you're interested in taking a course on how to use SketchUp. This is so important. I want you to pay attention to this here. When anyone's sitting here thinking, am I going to make money with my online course? This is the key. Pay attention to what people are looking for. What problems are they struggling with right now? What are they looking for someone to solve for them? Pay attention to that and you will have gold on your hands, okay? And so Claire goes on to say 20 people ended up reaching out to her post on Instagram, right? She says she quickly put up a sales page with an early bird offer. So usually that's something for people who are just getting in at the very beginning and will do it by a certain time. And immediately started getting sales before the course even existed. I say this all the time. Sell it before you make it. So, so important. So then she says, and the sales kept flowing in from there. Now, I also want to point out something really important here that I think especially pertains to you being able to make money. Notice how she says 20 people DM'd her on Instagram because of that post. She quickly put up a sales page. She didn't spend 6 months creating the most beautiful sales page in the world. She didn't run out to find somebody to hire somebody to make sure the copy was right or make sure the graphics were perfect. She threw something up, threw up a sales page and sent it out to those folks so she could take advantage. Like, what do they say? Hit when the fire is hot, when the coals are hot. What's that phrase? I'm awful at phrases. My husband would be making fun of me right now if he could see me. So she took advantage of it because it was right there for her, ready and waiting. And that's so critical in the online business world as well, is that you don't sit around. I've talked to people who say, I've been creating my online course for a year. What are you doing? First of all, sell it before you make it. But second of all, don't take a year. And sorry, I want to take back my what are you doing? I say that with a lot of compassion because we've all taken our time on certain things. And we've all, had moments where we're afraid to put something out there. We've struggled. I say this with a lot of compassion, but you shouldn't be taking that much time to create something. It's not going to be worth it. Unless you're going to sell it for like $1 million, it's not worth it because there's so much power in creating something and just getting it out there into the world to get people's eyes on it and into the program as quickly as you can. Okay. So Claire finishes her story by saying, as a natural procrastinator, this method was exactly what I needed to get results. Having paying students up front kicked my butt into gear. This is why I love the sell it before you make it approach, and helped me do things like getting on camera that I was always scared to do. Turns out it's not as bad as I thought. Exactly. So Claire says, you should know that my course success thus far came from using just 10% of what's taught in Digital Course Academy. I have big plans for 2020, and with DCA, Digital Course Academy, I have absolutely everything I need to make those dreams a reality. So I love this. And so again, Claire, where's Miss Claire? Let's go back to Miss Claire. Claire, I don't know why my computer hates me. Oh my goodness. Claire made over, 2.5 weeks, literally, because again, she didn't create the course first. She did the Instagram post. She paid attention to what people had been asking her for. She got those DMs, threw up the sales page, and in 2.5 weeks, she went from having nothing, no course, no product, to welcoming 122 members and generating over 42,000 Australian dollars. And Claire did not have a huge audience, okay? So it comes down to knowing what your people want and what problem they're trying to solve. All right, our next person. This is Karita. So Karita Griffith Walker is an online tap dance teacher. I don't ever want to hear anyone say, I can't do an online course because I'm not selling to other business owners, or I'm not teaching people how to make money, because yeah, you can. Karita does it. Plenty of people do it. And I don't ever want to hear anyone say, oh, what I do doesn't translate to online. She is an online tap dance teacher. How cool is that, right? So Karita says in her story, she was a professional dancer in New York for 17 years. So talk about a career shift to go from being a professional dancer to an online course creator. I love it, right? She danced in the Rockettes, Cirque du Soleil, and so much more. So Karita says, I was successful at it and I built an amazing career around being a dancer, but then I got married, we moved to Portland, and everything I'd built no longer seemed relevant. Let's get real. There aren't as many top performing opportunities in Portland as there are in New York. And I'm sure many of us have that experience, right? So she says, the significant change left me trying to figure out what to do with myself. And luckily, that's when I saw one of Amy's ads. I found myself on Amy's webinar about creating and selling an online course. And in an instant, I thought, wait a minute, I can teach tap dance. All of a sudden, all of my expertise and experience was still useful. I've worked with tap teachers for years, and I knew there was a need, but up until this point, hadn't put the pieces together. Making the decision to create a teacher training program for tap dancing breathed energy back into me. Let's pause for 1 second and talk about that. Making the decision to create a teacher training program for tap dancing breathed energy back into her. I work with so many of you who, when you come to me, you're burnt out, you're exhausted, you've fallen out of love with the work you do because you're doing so much of it. An online course is a way to really put that passion and that energy and that excitement back into what you do because it's not as draining. I love working with clients, but when I have calls after calls after calls after calls, I get sick of talking about the tax and the money stuff. I get sick of it because I'm doing it so much, and it takes away the enjoyment I get from that piece of my business. Having my online course brings that back because I can do it in a way that's much more manageable for my health, for my emotional health, for my mental health, for my sanity, and it's really a game changer for me. And so I love that Karita, that's a part of her story as well. So she says, even though I was really excited, I had a lot of mindset issues to work through. Me too, girl. She says, I had a ton of fears in my own head, like I'm not good enough. And should I be the expert at this? There are lots of people who are better than me. Thankfully, Amy addressed how to overcome these fears in the program and was invaluable in helping me get over them. What I appreciated the most was Amy being so clear on what to do every step of the way. She tells you what to do yourself and what you can delegate. That's huge for me as well. All you need to do is take her advice. So per Amy's recommendations, I hired some help that has allowed me to do multiple launches at this point. My last launch made over $20,000. Now, I think I want to stop here again too, because look, these people are not saying I made 500,000, I made $1 million. Like, they're not giving you grandiose dreams of what their online course launches look like. And I think that's really important because I don't ever want to lie to you. I want you to know the truth. It is very unlikely that if you launch an online course, you're going to make 6 figures from it right away. You almost certainly can do it over time if you stick to methods that work and if you pay attention to what's working and continue to improve on it. But none of these people are saying, I launched my course for the first time and I made $1 million. That's just not realistic. And I think that's okay because what they're all doing is they're telling you how they're building a stable and consistent and long-lasting and growing online course business. And that to me is so much more important than one launch with really good numbers, right? Because I know course folks, course creator people, that sounds weird, who have not paid attention to nurturing their audience and their community and growing over time. And they'll have one awesome launch. And you know what happens? The next launch, it flops because they haven't focused on nurturing that relationship with those people. So by the time they go around to sell the second time, there's nobody left who wants what they've offered because they've already tapped out that audience and they haven't given them anything back in return. They haven't nurtured that relationship. So every single one of the stories you're hearing today are really, they're bigger than just the one launch. I mean, I know the Facebook Live today is show me the money, but this is really more than just the one launch and how much they made. It's about how they put the steps in place to really create long-lasting online course businesses. Cool. So I want to just wrap up on Karita. So Karita says, to finish off here, thanks to Amy and Digital Course Academy, I feel like I'm living my purpose. By being able to get my expertise online, I still feel relevant in my career. That's a cool feeling, right? She says, I put a lot of years into my tap dancing expertise, and to have it now not just impact the students I teach personally, but their students feels amazing. I'm creating a ripple effect, and I'm so grateful to Amy for supporting me every step of the way. And I really do, I absolutely love this because, for me, that was a hard piece of it when I left corporate. Was I worked so hard to get my MBA. I worked so hard to get my master's in accounting. I worked so hard to get my CPA license, and I felt like I was walking away from it all. And so when I figured out that I could have a business where I still used that expertise and used those skill sets, but in a way that meant more to me, that felt more impactful and was more meaningful, I mean, that's the dream. That was really the dream. So I completely, that speaks a lot to me, and I hope it speaks a lot to you as well. All right. My next person is Amanda Ferguson. So Amanda's, I mean, all of these incredible women have great stories, right? But Amanda is a women's etiquette coach. And so I really actually in particular love her story. And I think you'll see why in a second. But she says, when I was growing up, we were very poor. Sometimes we would only have cornbread to eat. When I was 8 years old, my mom gave me an etiquette book and told me that if I learned these skills, I could go anywhere and do anything. So that's what I did. I love that. Like that really hits home for me. This idea of hope. Honestly, it's this idea of hope. That we give to kids, even who are in incredibly difficult situations, and just knowing that that one thing gave her hope and confidence to believe that she could do anything, and she absolutely can do anything. So I love that. So Amanda goes on to say, I knew I didn't want to live that kind of life. And I also knew that my full-time job as a flight attendant wasn't going to earn me enough money to make a difference in the direction of my dreams. Flash forward to 2016, and I was getting certified as a corporate etiquette consultant, hoping to launch a business. But at the time, nobody was doing this kind of training online, and I didn't think there was much of an audience for it. Well, lucky for me, I can't speak today. Lucky for me, when it was announced that Meghan Markle and Prince Harry were dating, there was a huge boom in interest on the topics of etiquette and manners. Despite my fears and how many times people told me it wouldn't work, I just went for it and launched my etiquette course. Before Amy's program, I launched my first course on Facebook using 5-day challenges. I didn't know anything about funnels or emails, but people were signing up anyway. My second launch did better, but I was burned out from all of the one-on-one calls. A friend of mine recommended that I check out Amy's podcast, and I realized pretty quickly that nobody knows digital marketing like Amy does. This is true. I knew I could trust her because she is so passionate and committed, and she doesn't hold anything back. I signed up for DCA as fast as I could with the intention of being Amy's most successful student ever with a huge 6-figure launch. I didn't have much to work with, no website, a 4,000-person email list, and not a whole lot of direction. Amy's step-by-step process helped me get focused on what I needed to do to make it really work. I refined my brand and my message, planned my content strategy, and pivoted my bonuses. Excuse me. I was finally ready to launch, but then life got in the way. My kids got sick and I couldn't do my webinar. Rather than scrapping everything because it wasn't perfect, I just kept moving forward. So with just Facebook Lives and my podcast, I was able to convert 91 students into my course with a total revenue of $101,000. I did it. Working with Amy has filled me with a clarity and confidence I didn't know I had. I'm ready to keep rocking my business and pushing towards a 7-figure launch that's coming my way. Now, I want you to listen to a few pieces of that story. Number one, when she got into DCA, she had already had a course and launched it a couple of times, and it was okay. She didn't have a great strategy around launching it. It was okay. She brought in some students some money. But when she got into DCA, she put everything into action, but she also was perfectly willing to pivot and go with the flow when things didn't go as planned. And that is so huge. Go back to my original launch, right? When I launched for the first time and my entire Facebook ads account was disabled, that was my strategy for bringing people in. You know what? I went with it. I rolled with it. And it ended up working out fine. I did a few different things. I was on some podcasts, which helped at the time. I got on social media every day. I was really working that hard. And I was still able to have a pretty good launch, because of it, because I pivoted, and Amanda did that as well. And I think that's a really critical piece of this. But again, let's look at our numbers here. So Amanda, if I can actually pull up her numbers. So Amanda had $101,000 launch, brought in 91 students. Now, it wasn't her first course launch, but it was her first one after having taken Digital Course Academy. And I think this just goes to show the kind of incredible success you can have. Her email list was a little bit bigger than a lot of people, 4,000 people on it, but she didn't have a website. She didn't really have an audience otherwise. She had people on her list through these challenges she had been doing, and that was it. And she was able to do 6 figures in her launch just with that. So trust me when I tell you the money is there. You've just got to, all of these little steps we've been talking about as we've gone through each person's story, those are really the keys to pay attention to. All right, our very, very last story of today that I want to share with you is a woman named Audrey Tom. So Audrey Tom is the founder at a company called Putting Me Together, and I'll tell a little bit about it as I tell you her story. So Audrey says she was working in the nonprofit world for 13 years. Loved the people, loved the work, but it was starting to feel stifling. She wanted to express herself more creatively. So she started a style blog back in 2011 and completely fell in love with the style blog world. It was so much fun just playing around with the current fashions and helping women feel more confident about themselves. So Audrey says, my following started to explode. Wow, this was exciting. And it was growing so fast that I decided to leave my job in 2018 and go full-time blogger. By this time, my business was thriving with blogging content and sponsored posts, but I wanted to pivot to online courses. I saw how this could help me scale my business and reach even more people. I also knew that creating an online course would give me a ton of freedom. It does. I didn't want to have to rely on sponsored posts and constantly having to create new content to make money. Once I enrolled in Digital Course Academy, I created a course to help women be empowered around their style and learn all they needed to make style effortless and easy for their everyday life. I teach my students foundational concepts such as how to dress your body shape and how to put together a wardrobe that feels like you, fits your style, and of course, fits your lifestyle. Can I share something vulnerable? Audrey says. I definitely felt some imposter syndrome because I don't have a styling certification or anything similar, but Amy's encouragement helped me push through self-doubt. I want to stop right here for 1 second. This is huge. I talk to so many people who want to create an online course, but they say, but I don't have a degree in that, but I'm not certified in that, but I haven't been doing it for 10 plus years. It doesn't matter. If you have something of value to share, if you have found success, if you have created a process, if you have achieved results, then you have something you can share and teach other people, okay? So Audrey says, I followed Amy's launch process in DCA step by step. I launched in the middle of April. That was when people were locked down because of COVID. So this is just this year she launched. So she didn't know what to expect. It felt a little weird to be selling, but I knew that there were people out there who were ready to make this a priority. So I just went for it. So she did 2 webinars. 526 people ended up enrolling in her course. She made $107,000 in the middle of quarantine. She was shocked. She said her goal was 300 students. So to have over 500 felt amazing. Audrey wraps it up by saying, Amy's advice is priceless. It felt so good to have someone walk me through it step by step and do things the right way to get the biggest results that I could. I definitely would not have been able to do this on my own. I'm so glad to have the financial peace of mind right now, which is allowing me to be more present with my family. And I know this is just the beginning. Pretty cool, right? So, these are all, and here's Audrey's. Oh, no, it doesn't like me. The world. Somehow Audrey's page got deleted, but that's okay. We'll stick with Audrey's face, which is beautiful. All of these stories hopefully reflect to you that there is money to be made in online courses, and that it is absolutely possible to have the kind of lifestyle, the kind of business, the kind of freedom that you're hoping to seek, presumably in your business, especially if you're watching this video. And I want to reiterate a few different points that, number one, you don't have to have a huge audience. Most of these people did not have a huge audience when they launched their courses. That kind of leads to number two, which is that building your audience, though, is an important component of having a successful online course business. And where we see people fail is where they don't go into it understanding that. They go into it believing they're just going to put it out there and people are going to come flocking to it. And that's not the case. The most important thing you can do in building your online course business, and actually in building any online business, is really nurturing the people in your community and getting to know them and getting to understand their pain points and what they're looking for from you and from anyone else, and what kind of support they want, so that you can create that level of support for them and you can be there for them, so that when you do put something out there and offer it to them as a solution to their problems, they are saying, hell yes, let me in. Instead of running the other way, right? And that's what every single one of these people have done. And, look, the reality of it is, it is not a guarantee that you will launch your online course and the first one you do will be a raving success by sort of normal standards, right? But every time you put something you've created out there into the world, you gather important data. And I think the critical component of someone who is going to be successful is, are you taking that data and using it to make adjustments and to improve in the future and to help grow your business? And that, to me, is what is more important than knowing how much money somebody made on one launch. Because I truly believe that if you do that and if you nurture your community, you can make incredible amounts of money with online courses over the course of your business as you grow that business. But I said it before, it does take time to build a successful online course business. I don't say that to discourage you. I say that so that you can get excited about the possibility of what you can truly build with online courses, because long term, it's going to give you the freedom and it's going to give you the freedom to spend time with your family, to follow your passion projects, to be creative, and to not feel burned out doing the work you love and having the impact that you want to have in this world. And I think that's really the critical piece of online courses. So I'm going to pull this away real fast. So just while we wrap up, feel free to put any questions you all have in the comments. Again, if you want to hop into Amy's free live masterclasses this week, all about building your online course, head on over to megkwheeler.com/launch. And the doors to Digital Course Academy open tomorrow, Wednesday, September 9th. They will be open for, I believe, 1 week. And I have an incredible bonus package for you. If you would like to join DCA through me, you're going to get a lot of support. You're going to get a lot of awesome resources when it comes to the money stuff in your business. And I think you'll really appreciate it. That link opens up tomorrow. If you are checking back here tomorrow, it's megkwheeler.com/DCA, the letters DCA. And I really hope you enjoy it. But in the meantime, hopefully this was helpful. Hopefully this showed you that there really is money to be made in online courses if you really do follow the tried and true method. And I will see you all back here tomorrow. I'm here every single day this week live talking about online courses. So I will see you back here then. In the meantime, head on over to megkwheeler.com/launch and hop into Amy's live masterclass. See y'all then. Bye.